Okay, here we go again. Another reading. Morning. The Golden Sayings of Epictetus, 130. Remind thyself that he whom thou lovest is mortal, that what thou lovest is not thine own. It is given thee for the present, not irrevocably, nor forever, but even as a fig or a bunch of grapes at the appointed season of the year. But these are words of evil omen. What callest thou aught of evil omen, save that which signifies some evil thing? Cowardice is a word of evil omen, if thou wilt, and meanness of spirit, and lamentation, and mourning, and shamefulness, and shamelessness. But do not, I pray thee, call of evil omen a word that is significant of any natural thing. As well call of evil omen the reaping of the corn, for it means the destruction of the ears, though not of the world. As well say that the fall of the leaf is of evil omen, that the dried fig should take the place of the green, that raisins should be made from grapes. All these are changes from a former state into another, not destruction, but an ordered economy, a fixed administration, such is leaving home, a change of small account, and is death a greater change from what now is, not to what is not, but to what is not now. Shall I then no longer be? Not so. Thou wilt be, but something different, of which the world now hath need, for thou too wert born not when thou chosest, but when the world had need of thee. 131. Wherefore a good man and true, bearing in mind that he is and whence he came, and from whom he sprang, cares only how he may fill his post with the due discipline and obedience to God. Wilt thou that I continue to live? Then will I live as one that is free and noble, as thou wouldest have me. For thou hast made me free from hindrance, and what appertaineth unto me. But what thou no further need me? I thank thee. Up to this hour have I stayed for thy sake, and none others. And now in obedience to thee I depart. How dost thou depart? Again I say, as thou wouldest have me, as one that is free, as thy servant, as one whose ear is open unto what thou dost enjoin, what thou dost forbid. 132. Whatsoever place or post thou assignest me, sooner will I die 1,000 deaths, as Socrates said, than desert it. And where wilt thou have me be? At Rome or Athens? At Thebes or on a desert island? Only remember me there. Shouldst thou send me where man canst live in nature would have him, I will depart not in disobedience to thee, but as though thou wert sounding the signal for my retreat. I am not deserting thee, for be that from me. I only perceive that thou needest me no longer. 123. If you are in Gyaros, do not let your mind dwell upon life at Rome, and all the pleasure it offered to you when living there, and all that would attend your return. Rather, be intent on this, how he that lives in Gyros may live in Gyros like a man in spirit. And if you are in Rome, do not let your mind dwell upon the life at Athens, but study only how to live at Rome. Finally, is the room of all other pleasures? Put this, the pleasure which springs from conscious obedience to God. 134. To a good man there is no evil, either in life or death. And if God supply not food, but has not, as a wise commander, sounded the signal for a retreat, and nothing more, I obey. I follow, speaking good of my commander, and praising his acts. For at his good pleasure I came, and I depart when it pleases him. And while I was yet alive, that was my work. So sing praises unto God. 135. Reflect that the chief source of all evils to man and of business and cowardice is not death, but the fear of death. Against this fear, then, I pray you, harden yourself to this. Let all your meanings, your exercise, your reading tend. Then shall you know that thus alone are men set free. 136. He is free who lives as he wishes to live, to when none can do violence, none hinder or compel, whose impulses are unimpeded, whose desires attain their purpose, who falls now into what he would avoid. Who then would live in error? None. Who would live deceived and prone to fall, unjust, intemperate, in abject whining at his lot? None. Then doth no wicked man live as he would, and therefore neither is he free. 137. Thus do the more cautious of travelers act. The road is said to be beset by robbers. The traveler will not venture alone, but awaits the companionship on the road of an ambassador, a quaestor, or a proconsul. To him he attaches himself, and thus passes by in safety. So doth the wise man in the world. Many are companions, are companies of robbers and tyrants. Many the storms, the straits, the losses of all a man holds dearest. Whither shall he fly for refuge? How shall he pass by unassailed? What companion on the road shall he await for protection? Such and such a wealthy man of consular rank? And how shall I be profited if he is stripped and falls to lamentation and weeping? And how if my fellow traveler himself turns upon me and robs me? What am I to do? I will become a friend of Caesar's. In his train none will do me wrong. In the first place, the indignities I must endure to win distinctions. The multitude of hands there will be to rob me. And if I succeed, Caesar too is but a mortal. While should it come to pass that I offend him, whither shall I flee from his presence? To the wilderness? And may not fever await me there? What then is to be done? Cannot a fellow traveler be found that is honest and loyal, strong and secure against surprise? Thus doth the wise man reason, considering that if he would pass through in safety. He must attach himself unto God. 138. He understandest thou attach himself to God? That what God wills, he should will also. That what God wills not, neither should he will. How then may this come to pass? By considering the movements of God and his administration. 139. And dost thou that hast received all from another's hands repine and blame the giver if he takes anything from thee? Why, who art thou, and to what end comest thou here? Was it not he that brought thee into the world? Was it not he that made the light manifest unto thee, that gave the fellow workers and senses and the power to reason? And how thought he thee into, and how brought he thee into the world? Was it not as one born to die, as one bound to live out his earthly life to some small tabernacle of flesh, to behold his administration, and for a little while to share it with him in the mighty march of this great festival procession? Now therefore that thou hadst beheld, while it was permitted the solemn feast and assembly, wilt thou not cheerfully depart when he summons thee forth with adoration and thanksgiving for what thou hast seen and heard? Nay, but I would fain have stayed longer at the festival. So would the mystics fain have the rites prolonged. So perchance would the crowd at the great games fain beheld more wrestlers still. But the solemn assembly is over. Come forth, depart with thanksgiving and modesty. Give place to others that must come into being, even as thyself. 140. Why art thou insatiable? Why this unreasonable? Why encumber the world? But I fain would have my wife and children with me too. What are they then thine, and not his, and gave them? His that made thee? Give up thee that which is not thine own. Yield it to one who is better than thou. Nay, but why did he bring me unto the world as on these conditions? If it suits thee not, depart. He has no need of the spectator who finds fault with his lot. Then what will take part in the feast? He needeth that will lift their voices with rest, that men may applaud the more and exalt the great assembly in hymns and songs of praise. But the wretched and the fearful he will not be displeased to see absent from it. For when they were present, they did not behave as at a feast, nor fulfill their proper office, but moaned as though in pain, and found fault with their fate, their fortune, and their companions, insensible to what had fallen to their lot, insensible to the powers that they had received for a very different purpose. The powers of magnanimity, nobility of heart, of fortitude, of freedom. Okay, I will stop there. I'll begin again with 140 for the next reading. Thank you.